This is John Gold here in Philadelphia at the Malcolm X Park, formerly known as Black Oak Park, for the 2008 Not in Our Name event. We're here with Joanne O'Neill, who's one of the organizers of today's event. Joanne, what do you hope to accomplish by today, from today?
Well, my biggest accomplishment, I hope, from today is helping to educate people into what has actually been going on in our country and the things that we need to correct, and so that they can go to the polls as educated voters, and also hopefully afterwards to hold whoever is elected their feet to the fire and correct all of the I don't know what you want to say.
Bring accountability.
Crimes of bringing accountability from what's happened the last 8 years.
Okay, I'm here with Debbie, who's with Code Pink. Debbie, geez, there's so many things going on right now in the world. I don't know where to begin. What do you think about the bailout that just happened?
Well, the bailout went the wrong way. It's supposed to trickle down, and it should be trickling up.
Well, I know the place. I'm RCA.
We went to D.C., and I worked with Code Pink during their actions, and we went to each of the important offices.
Where were you standing?
They need to be bailing out the people. Bail out Main Street.
Right. On September 11th, 2006, three family members got together at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., calling for a new investigation. This past February, the Jersey Girls, the women who fought for the creation of the 9/11 Commission, also called for an entirely new investigation. Do you support that?
Of course.
Nothing better for us to
You realize that we're living in the post-9/11 world, where we lose our civil liberties, we start preemptive illegal wars, so you obviously understand that we need, if 9/11 wasn't what we were led to believe, we need to know about it.
I'm not only for that investigation, I'm for any investigation of this administration.
Absolutely. The anthrax attack, Abu Ghraib.
Yes.
It just goes on and on.
Yes.
Well,
And I think it shouldn't stop after 2008. They need to be held accountable.
absolutely. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people?
Get educated. Go visit your local representatives' offices. If you can't go to D.C., everyone has an office in their district. Get to know them so that they will listen to you and badger them. Anytime you hear something, go down and badger them. They need to be held accountable to us. We voted for them, or not, but either way,
You're right.
they're representing us and they should be representing us the way we want them to.
Absolutely.
So the first year, you're just trying to sort things out. And from the very beginning, I didn't believe the story. But of course, I went back to work right away. So anything I did, I'd look on the internet, and I just wasn't sure what happened. I just didn't believe the story, just coming from the government. The fact that they came out with these pictures of people 2-3 days after 9/11, and that day immediately saying that Bin Laden was the perpetrator of my son's death. Finally, I remember the summer of 2002. I came home from my wife. And I thought this was the day we get divorced. I saw on the internet that the United States probably knew that this was going to happen. And I said to myself, can that be possible? That the United States knew that these attacks were coming. Well, I went home and told my wife. Well, she looked at me. And I think if she had a gun, she would have shot me. I said, how can you dare say something like that? And of course, I discussed it. I said, well, I just read this on the internet. Reading about tenants saying my hair was on fire. Reading about the August 6th memo that said that Bin Laden was going to attack this country. And I said, this is just unbelievable. I had the honor to join this group of people who all lost someone in 9/11 and did not want to go to war because they were talking about a war in Afghanistan. Well, of course, we were in Afghanistan at that time. That revenge is not the proper way to handle this. Find the perpetrators and bring them to trial. So I had my introduction to them, and I joined Peaceful Tomorrows. I said, this sounds good. And then in 2003, in February, I got laid off. So I really jumped into this. Jumped in so much as right before the Iraq War, I went down to Washington and got arrested. And this was a big thing for me because I have a bad temper. I have a tremendous amount of anger. And this is the only way I can alleviate this anger, is to research it, find out the truth. Well, being arrested, I spent 8 hours before this demonstration, and this is one of the things that they teach you when you do passive resistance. Controlling your temper, what to do when they arrest you, and if they give you a hard time. That was the most invaluable thing that ever happened in my life, because with a temper, it just doesn't solve anything. Violence, of course, never. And here I'm with a group, September 11th Family for Peaceful Tomorrows, coming from Martin Luther King. And Eye for an Eye will never make peaceful tomorrows. It's not the exact quote, but it is basically an eye for an eye, so that's where Peaceful Tomorrows came from. But with that, being arrested, the doors opened up for me. And my voice started to be heard. I started going to demonstrations. I did a lot of work down here in Philadelphia. I traveled the world. I had the opportunity. I was in Japan. We did a stone walk. And I spoke all throughout Japan. And I met, I don't know who the groups are in Israel, Palestinian and Israel. They travel around the world. What's the group called?
There are many of them.
Families. But anyway.
Bereaved families.
Bereaved families. And I spent a lot of time with them. They were traveling around Japan. A Palestinian woman, or a woman who lost her brother, and an Israeli woman who lost her son. And that they were able to speak to peace. But everybody wanted to hear me, because I was talking about peace. And when I would speak about blowback. The blowback of American foreign policy. And everybody loved that message. TV, I was always on TV, spoke everywhere. I was down in Bogota, Colombia. I had the opportunity to speak down there. The violence that these people have suffered down there. And I would say the blowback of the United States. Our foreign policy has created these situations around the world. Again, going on these marches. Everybody loved to hear that message. But I was having a problem. I kept doing my research. I read every single morning. I've been doing this since the day my son died. I buy every book. I listen to everybody. Everybody calls me. Those ask me to speak. I will speak anywhere. And they always did love hearing that message of, geez, this is wrong. War is wrong. Violence is wrong. This has all happened because of 9/11. But then I sort of got frustrated with the peace movement. I would go to a big meeting up in New York City with United for Peace and Justice. And I would raise my hand and say, well, we keep talking about the Iraq War. And we keep talking about blowback. But I said, what about 9/11? I said, this has to be in the conversation. Because I have evolved into it through my research. I am 100% positive the United States orchestrated the death, the murder of my son. So my frustration keeps developing. And I would tell these people at these organizations, this must be part of the dialogue. And it hasn't been part of the dialogue. So suddenly, when people call me to speak, I will say, the only way I will speak is if I talk about 9/11. I believe the United States orchestrated with the help of other countries, but I don't really care about the other countries because it happened in the United States. There's no sense bringing up other countries. Now suddenly, I used to go to colleges, I used to go to high schools. They used to love to hear this message. You get standing up, oh, this is great. But nothing's happening. So now, if people call me, I said, look, I'm going to talk about 9/11. I believe this is what happened on 9/11. Now no one calls me. You'll never catch me on TV anymore. You won't catch me in any colleges anymore. You won't catch me in high schools, especially high schools. I'll get a call, and God forbid I walk in and said, our government killed my son. They don't want to hear that.